at the Duncan Music Lounge here at iHeartRadio in Hartford, home of our network flagship, Fox Sports Radio 97.9 Hartford. Mike Crispino along with Jim Mora. So we recapped last year in that first segment. Now we're looking ahead. How do you view the next year after you've had success? Is it going to be harder to get people up to that level again, or do you just start at square one and try to build something again?
Well, you start at square one and try to build something again, knowing that you have some momentum that you've got to capture. I think one of the things that helped us winning last year is that we were able to bring in maybe more talent than we had been in the past, because we were more attractive to more talented players, and so that helped us. But in terms of our focus, it's right back to square one, and it's, every day trying to be the very best that we can be, and working to our standard every day, and focus on what matters, and not making excuses, and holding each other accountable, and all those things. What's interesting now is with the transfer portal is that you have to kind of rebuild, your culture every single year, because there's so many new players coming in that they're not indoctrinated into how you do things and how you talk to each other and how you think and what your standards are and your expectations, and so that takes a lot of energy. So it's kind of a new proposition every year.
And for you, that might be helpful in some ways, might it? Because they're not going to be hearing the same message from you year after year. You're going to get a new group of guys coming in trying to understand what you're trying to teach.
Well, I kind of like the same message, if it's working. So, yeah, after a while they get sick of it, but, hopefully they listen, and hopefully the message resonates, and hopefully you're saying the right thing. I tend to focus on, the things that matter, and keep the main thing. So my message, I have a thing I write at the top of my notebook every week, keep the message tight, give them things that they're thinking about that matter. The more you say, the less they listen at times. So it's just keep the message tight, or I actually say don't let the message get too big. So for me, I'd rather, have guys that hear it over and over and over. If you have kids that are 17, 18 years old, they don't necessarily hear you the first time, right? So it's the same thing with these guys. They might look like they're, they put their uniforms on and we assume that they're more mature and older, but they're still, like we had a kid, Osiris Gilbert, who's probably going to start at corner in our first game in a week and a half, who just turned 18 2 days ago. He just turned 18. So these are still, young men.
Right.
So they need to hear it over and over and over and over again.
Yeah, Osiris is a 20-year-old cornerback. I watched him today. He's got some talent.
Yeah, he's a good player.
He did. And you've also brought back some of your former players to help on the staff, which is kind of cool. I was with Durante Jones on the sideline talking to him a little bit. He's in the recruiting area a little bit. I felt like I was getting recruited.
Yeah.
He was so enthusiastic. He was telling a good story to me about why he came here and why he stayed here and how it worked out for him. And I'm like, man, if I'm a kid sitting in in my mother's living room and I hear this kid, I'm a lot more apt to think hard about Uconn.
Yeah, Durante and Caleb Anthony. Jelani was with us. Right now he's not. Jackson Mitchell's with us. It's something that I've always tried to do, is bring guys back into the program that had a lot invested in the program. You get a guy like Ronte, and he's working in recruiting, but he's also out on the field helping coach. Same with Caleb, who's a corner here. I don't know if you remember Caleb Anthony 3 years ago when he hurt his knee. And I'm really proud of Caleb, because through all this, he just graduated yesterday. And it was really cool to see that. And he wants to be a coach, and so we're giving him those opportunities to be coaches. I guess the one of the other fun things is that they all live with Kathy and I at our house right across the street. We got a full house right now, but I think it's important to bring those guys back and help them get started in what they want to do. And they've been great to have around the program.
And you got another Mora on the coaching staff.
Yeah.
I saw that on the list here. Trey, I haven't met him yet, but he must be an important guy on the staff.
Yeah, he's a gopher. No, he's the low man on the totem pole. No, it's my youngest son, Trey, and he thinks he wants to be a football coach, and we'll see how he feels about that in a few weeks. He's been grinding away. He's in there about 6 a.m. He gets home about 11:30 every night. I don't really see him much. I don't really talk to him much, but he's working hard, and we'll see if he becomes the third generation of Moras to be a football coach.
And your dad is 90 and he's still going strong, lifting
My dad's
weights,
90.
you were telling me?
He's a beast. I don't know if you saw the video.
Love that guy. Come on.
Yeah, he works hard. He puts me to shame.
Yeah, he's special, that guy. This practice today I watched, I was curious because I saw you taking a lot of notes, and obviously you're overseeing everything now. And at the end of practice, I asked you about your notes. What is all that stuff? And you were pointing out a couple of the scribbles. And tell me what you're doing when you're doing that. I mean, you're watching everything, but you're certainly notating things. Is it individual? Is it team stuff? What are you doing?
It's everything. It's plays that I want to make sure that I show the players on film in a team environment. It's situations that come up. It's things that I think we need to improve on. It's points of emphasis that just kind of pop into your head. You notice during games, I'm always scribbling things down as well. It's just something pops into your mind or in your head, and you don't want to forget it. And you write it down, and then you address it with the team later, with the staff later. You make an adjustment to a practice plan. I just don't want to forget anything. I want to make sure that we're very detailed and covering all our bases. So. Yeah, I have a tendency to write things down. It helps me remember things. I'm like you. We're getting up there a little bit. So
we are. Yeah. I make lists.
I've started to actually put my notes on my phone, but I'm not going to take a phone out to practice. That's for sure. So I have to write it down.
Now you've coached with a lot of great coaches over the years. I mean, Bill Walsh, people like that. Did any of those guys do that kind of thing?
Oh, they all do. Yeah, coaches take
now.
All head coaches take notes. I mean, yeah, you have to. I mean, it's your responsibility. You have to pay attention. You have to be ready to make adjustments. You have to remember things. You have to be able to point things out. I mean, I'm dealing with 118 players, and things come up, and so I just write it down so I remember it.
All right, you got 10, 15, 12 days, whatever it is, until the first game. Mm-hmm. This week, starting today, were you thinking a little bit about your opponent, or are you still thinking about what this team's going to be?
Both. Today was kind of a transitional day, as you saw. So some of our work was against, we call it against ourselves, a generic practice. It's Uconn versus Uconn, but a large portion was dedicated to our first opponent. And so we transitioned into where we're always just going against each other, into giving each other a look that we're going to see on a Saturday against an opponent that we play. So a little bit new for some of the younger guys, the freshmen that are on what we call the scout team. They're the guys that are stimulating the look of the opponent we're going to play. Most of the high school guys, they never did that. They were the best players on their team, and now they're not. And so they have to learn how to do that. So there's just a lot of teaching that goes up, really procedural teaching that goes along, as well as X's and O's. And we talked about earlier the cultural teaching as well. So, you're just always trying to educate these young men on how they and how we can be successful together.
Yeah, and unlike the pros, no exhibition games for the college guys. So they have a scrimmage at Rensselaer on Saturday. And we'll talk more about how getting this team ready for a week from Saturday builds up day to day as we go forward. Jim Mora with us, the Uconn football coach and the Uconn Football Coaches Show here from the DML in Hartford. Woo!